7 o'clock Tuesday night, 1 hour until the season finale of The Acolyte premieres. Hi, I'm Weston. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I've always thought about making a video like this, sharing my thoughts, initial review, and reaction to current Star Wars media, but I just never have, so I figured why not start now with the season finale and go from there. In this video, I'm going to share my experience and how I became a Star Wars fan. I'm going to share my initial thoughts and reactions to the previous episodes, as well as a review and reaction to the season finale, and my final thoughts on the season overall. So I'll start with my background. If you want to skip this part to the reaction, go to this time. If not, stick around. It's a fun time. So how I became a Star Wars fan. My mom went to the store, my dad was home with me. I was 3-4 years old, very young. I don't really remember it. But what I do know from the story they tell me is when the music came on, the opening title sequence, I started running and dancing around our living room couch. We're watching, I'm dancing up until the cantina scene. My mom comes home. She sees what we're watching and all the aliens that kind of creeped her out as a kid. She got on my dad real quick and said, "What on earth are you letting him watch?" And he looked at her and said, he loved the music. And I started dancing around to the cantina theme, running around the couch again. And I've loved Star Wars ever since. That's just how they tell a story to me. My memory mostly comes from wearing out all the VHS tapes, including the bonus material, or going down to our basement to play the Lego Star Wars video game, or Battlefront 2, which I still have. Love that game. It's my absolute favorite. I still play it to this day. Shameless plug. It also comes from playing with my collection of Star Wars action figures, as well as my dad's collection from when he was a kid. He would get them out sometimes for my sister and I, and we would just play with all the action figures in the basement and make these epic battle scenes that would last for weeks on end. It was great. It also comes from the couple of scars that I have on my knuckles and body from playing with plastic lightsabers way too frequently and too hard. To get a better idea on how I view Star Wars, my opinion on it, you can check out my Letterboxd list. I'll leave a link in the description. So now that you have an idea on my Star Wars background, experience, and opinion, let's dive into The Acolyte. So before my reaction, I'll give my initial thoughts to the previous 7 episodes. So first things first, whenever you discuss anything in media, be respectful. Just be respectful, don't be a jerk. Debate, but be respectful. So the first thing that I have is I like the first 2 episodes. I enjoyed them for the most part. I thought they were fine. I thought the sets looked really nice. Practical sets almost always look better. I thought the fights were really cool. Introducing this Jedi martial arts, the Force Fu, was really cool. I like the little Kill Bill nod with the stairs. As for the High Republic era, I don't really care. I'm not into the books. I've never really read a lot of Star Wars books. Currently reading Heir to the Empire. The one I remember most is the Darth Plagueis novel, but just never really got into them. As for the whole fire in space, it's okay, guys. It's okay. Leave me be. Attack me with all your strength. Whatever. I was pretty disappointed in Andara's early death. Seeing her in the trailers and the posters, first thing, I really wanted to see more of her, and as soon as she took the dagger to the heart, I knew we're going to have a flashback. For the 3rd episode, I found the episode unnecessary. An entire episode of flashback. I don't need to be spoon-fed. You just need to show. Show, don't tell is the best rule. I take issue with having a flashback episode. I want there to be a point, and in my opinion, I didn't see the point only because you already told me in the previous 2 episodes what happened. Or at least from that perspective. So the idea that we would now show you what happened, you could see something different, or you could see different perspectives. That didn't necessarily happen. It played out how we told you before. So to me, that's unnecessary. What I would say that I'm interested by in the third episode is I like unaligned Force users. It's interesting. I really like the idea of the Night Sisters. I enjoyed them when I watched the Clone Wars as a kid. I thought it was cool that they used magic. It wasn't the Force, but maybe an element of the Force or something different that we didn't understand, leaning into the dark side. It was unnatural. Or something to that effect, right? It's magic. It's not necessarily dark side Force use, but it's somewhere in that realm and we just don't really know or fully understand yet. Maybe we'll get some of that in Ahsoka Season 2. You never know. With that also comes the problem of we've established what witches are and what magic is in Star Wars. Why is this different? They're using almost actual Force powers, actual dark side energy, different than what we've seen before, which is okay, but it also pulls into question, if it's happening here, why doesn't it happen later in Star Wars? Well, they all died. But what if? Fourth episode, couple things. A lot of walking. Why did the Jedi need a tracker when they have the Force to use their senses to let it guide them? I don't know. Maybe the planet's so full of life that they need someone of Basil's skill to help them. Sure. Why is Kiadi there? It was kind of interesting that they brought him in. It's almost like he's in on it, is the feeling I got, which I didn't really like. It didn't make sense to me because there wasn't a payoff yet. Maybe we'll see if there's a payoff in the final episode. Hope so. Enough about Kiadi. I was hoping for a fight. The Stranger, Smilo, Chimere comes floating in like the old Clone Wars Count Dooku or Vader at times. That was pretty interesting, kind of creepy. I like that idea of some horror elements of the Sith that the Jedi feel cold, they feel uneasy. At the end of episode 4, I realized that these episodes were in pairs and cut in half. That's how I felt across the entire show. 1 and 2, 3 and 7, 4 and 5, 6 and 8. That's just how the format was going to be. All those cut in half. 2 hours of information stretched to the 8-hour format. Episode 5. The best episode in the entire show. By far. We'll see what happens with the 8th episode. But I doubt that it can top episode 5. To the people that they hired for the stunt team, you guys are awesome. It's unfortunate that it was in a dark forest, to make it more scary, but it was in a dark forest and we couldn't see everything. I wish we could have. The kills, the choreography, the stunt work, very well done. Incorporating cortosis now into canon, bonus points to you. That was great. Using it as a weapon, great. Just don't, miss if you're using your little arm thing. You might lose a hand there, bud. But, really well done. On the opposite side of episode 5, the reveal. Not a surprise. We saw it coming from a mile away. I wish it was more of a surprise, but that's okay. I did have an issue with Yord being slashed in the leg, kind of similar to how Obi-Wan was in episode 2. But he was able to run and was told to take Osha away, but then decided to go back after she asked to go back. I also didn't understand how... I thought it was him that was saying it. Maybe it was the other male Jedi behind him that said they were attracted to light in episode 4. So when they were running around with a lightsaber and a flashlight, I thought, oh no, they're going to get attacked, and then something would happen where they would take the moths back. And lo and behold, Deus Ex Machina. How they're able to do it, it's for the plot. I get it. It's not the biggest payoff, but at least they did something with it. Why Pip is the bright light that they're attracted to? Plot. Alright, forget about it. On that same opposite side comes May's story. I thought it was interesting that she said she wanted to turn herself in, but when she had the opportunity to, she didn't. She fought back. So there was this flipping back and forth, almost wishy-washy, light switch, whatever you want to say. I got that feeling. And I didn't like it. I didn't understand why she trained for 16 years to kill the Jedi and then decided to be with her sister now that she's alive. I understand why she started to think about it, but maybe not act on it just yet. That felt like something that could have been building up, but there wasn't a lot of build up. It just happened. We get a little lightsaber haircut reminiscent to some moments that we see in the Clone Wars, or Mulan, I guess, cutting hair with a sword. Probably not the best way to give yourself a makeover, but hey, more power to you. Just don't burn your face off. Episode 6. Tone change. I appreciate the 3-story structure. Intercutting between those 3 stories is very classic Star Wars, but very hard to do with around 36 minutes of runtime. It's very quick. Blink and you miss it. I don't understand why Vernestra did not communicate to the Jedi Council or High Council now that the Jedi on the mission, 7 of them, 6 Jedi Masters, or 5 Jedi Masters, 1 Jedi Knight, maybe another one was a Jedi Knight, and a Padawan all died on a mission. Very interesting. Episode 7. I do like that idea of the Jedi exploring, very Star Trek-esque. I know they're using the metal detector, they're scanning all the fauna on the planet, but I like the idea that they would be collecting samples, maybe for the archives. If it's not in the archives, it doesn't exist. So I like the idea that someone would have to go out and collect that data. On the opposite side of that is, why can't they sense divergence in the Force? Why are they using these tools and equipment? How come when they came to the planet they didn't do some sort of planetary scan, an orbital scan, to know where the life or concentrations of life were on the planet? In my opinion, so much of Episode 7 is Episode 3 from a different camera angle. It didn't expand my understanding. It didn't change my perspective. It was mostly the same. Those are my immediate thoughts on the show. I don't know what else to say, but it's just past 8 o'clock. Let's do this. Can't breathe in this thing.
I can't breathe in this thing!
Prove what? That murdering our mother was justified?
Well,
What happened to you?
a little bit. How many ships are on the ship? Why?
Master Vernestra.
I don't know what planet that is.
Where is he?
I've heard some disturbing things.
What did he do?
That you are running a murder investigation without reporting it to the Senate.
I'm keeping this internal for the moment. I have the authority to take independent
Rumors?
action if there's no larger threat.
How can you know there is no larger threat?
All the victims were Jedi.
There are multiple victims.
I am very close to apprehending the suspect.
I think the Jedi are a massive system of unchecked power, posing as a religion. A delusional cult that claims to control the uncontrollable.
We don't control the Force.
Not the Force. Your emotions. You project an image of goodness, restraint. But it's only a matter of time before one of you snaps. And when, not if that happens, who will be strong enough to stop him?
That's certainly an opinion, and not one shared by the rest of the Senate.
So you're really not going to tell me where we're going?
We go together or we don't go at all. That seems fair.
Did I give you the impression that I was a fair person?
Yes, you did. You made a deal with my sister and you expected her to uphold it. That's fair. And so is this.
Is it also
What's
fair to stab Jackie 3
You should
times
be
and
trained.
snap Yord's neck?
Would you ever consider?
Dude. Okay. Pausing the show. That is awesome. That is probably single-handedly one of the coolest things that has ever happened in Disney Star Wars. That few seconds. It is unfortunate that it took them this long to do something like that. It's unfortunate that this show took this long to get to that point, because those few seconds made the entire show so much more interesting. If something comes of it, if something must come of it. Because if it doesn't, that is going to be a problem across all of Star Wars. Because they brought Plagueis in, that means that some of, if not all of, Plagueis is canon. Now, I'm not going to jump the gun. It's probably not all. It's probably just bits and pieces. I don't want to get my hopes too high up. But that does pique a lot of interest. That may have sealed their deal for a season 2. If it does, I really hope that they don't stretch it like they did in this season. Okay. Enough about that. More later. Really cool. Can he sense where she is when last time they needed metal detectors? Maybe. Will Basil go with them? Interesting that they could find them even though they were flying overhead. Just saying. Couldn't sense her there. Because of guilt? Because of some reason? Nice. Whee! I wish that was faster. Very kung fu action movie-esque.
What if she gets you first?
Again, a little overuse in slow-mo there, Zack Snyder, but it's okay. Oh! Some sort of force repulse? Pretty cool. Again, anime-esque. Pretty cool. Flip, flip, flip. Match cut? Okay. Okay.
Miss Kyle. So that's what that feels like.
Ooh. Nice. Take the little one, maybe? Oh.
Strike them down, and your journey will be complete.
No.
No. I'm a split personality like my sister before me.
I did the right thing.
From a certain point of view, absolutely.
I wanted to protect you both. I don't know how your mother did it, but it has something to do with the virgins on this planet.
How she did what?
Somehow.
She created life. Your lives. I believe she used the Force to create you and the ocean.
Is that true?
I meant to tell you 16 years ago, Whoops-a-daisy.
I was protecting you. It was
From
the
his
right
point of view?
thing to do.
From his point of view, that's
It was the right
absolutely
thing
right.
to do. Why didn't you tell the Jedi?
Without me,
Whoops-a-daisy.
there was no proof you were created in this way.
I object. There is no proof.
Actually, there is. Like, so much proof.
The symbionts are the same. They are twins. No, exactly the same. Even identical twins would have different symbionts. This is impossible without some kind of manipulation. The twins were artificially created, maybe by tapping into a power dense enough to split one consciousness into two bodies. Only a virgins could create that type of power.
And also, there are a ton of witnesses, 2 of which are Jedi.
I can assure you, what the Queen says is true.
Well, holy crap, you guys! This ends now. Send reinforcements immediately.
You are too old to train.
He's too old.
They
too
never
old.
would have let you become a Jedi.
Is the Force a weapon? Crunch. Oh, bleeding. Yup. Only 2 there are. Or 2 and 2 halves. Mmm. Huh. Yet again, something really, really, really cool that we've only seen. I guess it might be in one of the Jedi video games. I haven't finished the second one. Haven't started to finish the second one. It's in the comics. You know, there's the stuff with Kylo specifically. And I think it's in the Vader comic, but I haven't finished that either. Live action, you know, putting it there. It's great. It reminds me of one of the toys that I never had but always wanted. It was a color changing for Anakin to Vader. It's exactly what I think of. What does she feel?
You're alive.
Whip scar. Everyone was right about that. Hiding in plain sight. Can we get a whip fight? Or are we gonna tease that and save it for season 2? We just established that we can use our senses to find someone on the planet, but now we gotta use the track.
I can attempt to wipe her memory. Remove any trace of you or me
Interesting.
permanently.
You're under arrest.
What did I do?
I'll kill you.
What I'm going to do is surrender myself to Kelnaka, and then turn myself into the Jedi.
No, stop.
The murder of Master Tobin, the murder of Master Kelnaka, the fire that killed your family.
Coruscant, right?
A rogue Jedi named Soul killed his accomplices to maintain the cover story. Sorry, my friend. Speaking on behalf of the High Council, we wholly condemn the actions of Master Soul.
I think in light of these events, Chancellor, we cannot wait for a full Senate vote. An external review of the...
Just gonna stop it right there. I wonder how fans of the High Republic and fans of Vernestra are going to like this, because from what I've seen, just looking at like Barnes & Noble covers of books or comics that I've just glanced at but never really got into, like they show her from like a child, adolescence, all the way through till I guess now her as a master. Maybe they stop at like night or something in the books, maybe not. I wonder how they'll feel about this, if it's justified, if it makes sense, things of that nature. I don't know. Play.
Sorry to disturb you, Master.
Yoda.
We need to talk.
Okay. with everything that I said earlier, Episode 5 and Episode 8 are the absolute best and show what this show not only should have been, but it shows what it could have been all along. It's unfortunate that it was stretched so much, because there are moments that are really well done, whether it's a fight or maybe a character moment. There's not that many, but there's a few that make you go, huh, that's interesting. Because the whole concept is interesting in the time frame of this has to be a secret, this maybe even has to be a Jedi cover-up. And it feels out of pocket because from what we know, especially in the prequels, is that their hubris, it comes into play. Why they don't believe Qui-Gon, right? So why is it that when we have the Sith here, we're seeing hubris 87 years before? The answer is just cuz. That it was deep-rooted, that there was, it was almost constant. So it's interesting that they're not all high and mighty, that there's some corruption, there's some power hungriness maybe. We see mostly in Vernestra, because we can see in both Soul and Vernestra how they make their mistakes and they're covering it up, and it's showing the hubris. I don't think it's a problem that they're showing the hubris, I just think it's interesting the way that they did it compared to how it was done before. If you take out the credits, the intros, all that, and condense the time, it really comes close to like a 2-hour movie. I'll do the math, but it's gotta be really close to something like that. So, the same thing kind of happened with Kenobi, where, granted, that was supposed to be a movie at first before, all the changes. A show like this could have benefited from, using that 8-episode slot more wisely. Plays the wise. Those clips did make me very happy, because it feels good to see them. I don't really like The Last Jedi. I felt really good when Yoda showed up, because I like Master Yoda. He's one of my favorite characters. It's pressing at, a little bit of nostalgia that does feel really good. It's also touching on different elements of action and stunt work with, kung fu-esque fight scenes. Those are really awesome. It's cool to get that, some sort of storytelling diversity when it comes to, hey, that's probably a second unit or something doing some stunt scenes while other people are, off building the rest of the sets before they do some dialogue. That's pretty awesome. Even like Book of Boba Fett, I know a lot of people didn't like it. I enjoyed a lot of bits and pieces, a lot more than I didn't like it. You got the little spinny thing, the little going out on the bikes, the fact that Mando steals an episode, a lot of those things where it's like, I wonder why they did that. But I saw the direction, I saw the vision, some really cool visuals, some cool new stuff. Riding a Rancor, that was badass. Come on, the giant, new versions of droidekas as tanks, those are really cool. Even in something like that where it overall not that good is how a lot of people feel. I think it was okay. I would probably rather watch that, I would probably rather watch The Last Jedi, and that's my least favorite Star Wars movie. I think the best way to consume The Acolyte, or a better way, would have been to binge it. I don't necessarily like binge watching when it comes to a new show. I do like the suspense that it can give you, that feeling, especially when it's a mystery. But I'm not really feeling the tension until it starts getting good. And where it gets good, it is pretty nice. Episode 5 and Episode 8, those are the highlights. It's just so in the middle Like, for me, it's at like a 2.5 out of 5 stars.